The guy takes a real $50 bill and he slaps it in your hand. And he says to you, "Are you in?" Now, what do? Do you take the deal?
It sounds like a setup. And illegal. And the guy sounds like a total criminal. Do you know him at all?
No.
Does anyone go with you? Are there any witnesses?
No.
Do you have any way to protect yourself so you're not just blindly walking into a trap?
No.
Only a sucker would fall for that.
Or a doofus.
Or a moron. Or an idiot.
Or a sleazeball.
So, Badway, would you rather be a sleazeball or a scumbag?
Oh, sleazeball all day.
You let somebody call you sleazeball?
You call me a scumbag, we're fighting. There's no two ways about it.
It's like it's the most derogatory term for you.
It's like, I don't know, a ball of sleaze is nowhere near as bad as a bag of scum. So
a bag of scum.
A bag of scum.
What about a scum bucket?
Scum bucket.
It's even worse.
There's like a whole bucket of scum
instead of a bag.
Instead of the bag. I mean,
how does the bag stay? How does the scum stay in the bag?
Sometimes somehow the bag is worse because it like drips. You know, it's like leaking out. It's worse. It's somehow worse than the bucket.
If there's a hole in the bottom, there's likely not a hole in the bag in the bottom of a bucket.
Yeah, the bucket's usually solid, but the bag, the leaking bag, no, you can't call me that.
I'll never call you a scumbag. I feel like I would feel so bad to do it.
Yeah.
Sleazeball, it's kind of offensive, but not as.
It's almost playful. Sleazeball. Hey, you guys, sleazeball.
Well, anyway, this is episode 93 of the Last Row podcast. My name's Drew. I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Badway.
My scumbagged friend Badway, you were saying.
If you're looking for our website, thelastrowpodcast.com, follow us on Twitter at The Last Row Pod. Check out our Facebook page at The Last Row Pod as well. Head out to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, any of your favorite podcatchers. Subscribe to the show. If you haven't done so already, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Badway, episode 93.
Nobody goes on our Facebook, Drew. We know.
Yeah,
is it even Facebook anymore? Like, what is it?
There's a couple. It's meta, man.
Is it meta?
Go on our meta page.
Nobody goes. So anyway, guys, reach out. If you go on our Facebook page, reach out and show us you're alive.
Send us an email, thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. I'm forgetting to say that one, too. Send us an email. We could use some email love here.
It's like as Egon says, print is dead. Is Facebook dead?
Facebook is dead.
If print is dead, Facebook is also dead.
If we don't get enough action on there, maybe I'll just delete it. We get some people on there. Some people are writing on there. So thanks to everybody that's left.
I have nothing
comments.
against it. It's just like it seems like it's past.
Anyways, it's done.
Bushwhacked, Drew. We're doing Bushwhacked today. 1995. Daniel Stern vehicle. You like it when they call movies vehicles?
A vehicle for Daniel Stern's talents.
It's a vehicle for Daniel Stern's talents, Drew.
Listen, he's a master of the physical comedy in this movie, so it's a good vehicle.
Yeah, I have thoughts, so we'll get into it. We'll get to that later. August 4th, 1995, this was released. The summer blockbuster, Drew. Comedy/crime movie. Directed by Greg Beeman. Steve and Greg Beeman.
Of the Beeman Brothers.
This is this part where I usually talk about the director, but it's fact.
I saw something about this director. Do you want me to drop it? This was his last movie before he went to direct to Disney Channel movies.
Yeah, I mean, I could have gone there. I decided to take the high road, but you decided to go the scumbag route.
I gotta go sleazeball
and drag him under the mud. not over the mud, under the mud.
The bag is leaking.
No, but I saw on his IMDb he went on to direct some highly reputable television shows. So he's all right.
Beeman.
It's not very good, is he?
Steeman Beeman.
Yeah. IMDb 5.6 out of 10. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. Rotten Tomato 11%.
Way too low.
Yeah, it's a little low.
I'm offended.
Could be higher, but
I'm
not
offended
not by
much. That. Way too low.
No, this is a solid 20s movie, Drew.
It's a great movie. And I love it. Damn it.
Metacritic %. It's too low. No rating on Metacritic.
Too low.
There should be a rating. There should be at least one rating.
There wasn't anybody. I don't know where they're pulling from, but there was zero. Yeah. It was nothing. Not even Letterboxd, 0 dash.
Letterboxd 2.4 out of 5. That's about right.
I could see it being a 2.5 or 2.4 on here. So it's about right.
Did you like it or is it good?
I liked it, but is it good? It's good, and I liked it.
Yeah, okay.
It's not very good, but I liked it.
4 to 5. A sleazy.
Better than Into the Spider-Verse?
Is it better than Into the Spider-Verse? Is it better than Deuce Bigelow European Gigolo? No.
Listen, that's a high bar to cross here on this show.
A sleazy courier poses as a scout leader on a camping trip while on the run from the authorities. Now in charge of a group of kids, he continues to flee to Devil's Peak to escape his charges of money laundering and murder.
But was he charged with money laundering?
I have so many questions about the plot of this movie. As is it worth getting into now, or should we just wait till later?
Tag it, hold it for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Hold it for 1 minute.
All of those sentences made sense within the grand scheme of the movie, but I don't get it. I just don't get it.
You're like, are you Tom Hanks in Big, where he's like, he has the toy and he's like, I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah. The Transformer is a skyscraper and I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Would you rather it says a scummy courier poses as a scout leader, or is it better as a sleazy?
Because he's a sleazeball. He's not a scumbag, Drew. Daniel Stern's character will not steal from you, but he will throw garbage at you.
So let me ask you this, and maybe this is not the right time to get into this, but what's the difference between a sleazeball and a scumbag? Is there a way to differentiate the two?
A sleazeball will try to cut corners, will throw garbage on the ground, and is unreliable.
Yeah.
A scumbag will steal from you and screw you over. And doesn't care about your well-being.
Does scumbag also see, to me in my head, scumbag to me, like, just you're dripping with scum, and you're scummy, but you're also physically and visibly dirty.
A scumbag is an asshole who is also looks filthy.
Yeah, like a filth person.
Like a scumbag is an unwashed asshole.
Yeah.
Does that paint the picture?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you nailed it. I think we can move on.
I think I got it right. Everybody now understands.
Listen,
whereas a sleazy guy, a sleazeball, is also kind of dirty. Slick back hair, slick back hair. Yeah, dude, the character from I Think You Should Leave. That's a sleazeball.
Sloppy steaks.
I used to be a piece of shit.
Yeah,
he's a sleazeball.
Yeah, okay, not a scumbag.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
All right. You defined it well for me.
Thank you.
So anyway, let's get into the craziness of the plot in a second, but let's hit the usual. So taglines, and I don't know how they fit this on the poster. These are way too long. There was a bunch actually on IMDb in German, and I didn't even put them in because I can't speak German, and the translations of them were hilarious. So because they don't translate like a 1-to-1. So anyway, there's two here. So the first one, Max Grabelski is taking 6 Ranger Scouts to a place he's never been before. ... Outdoors.
I feel like the he's needs to be like underlined.
Yeah.
Or bolded or something.
Like that doesn't fit on a poster. Like it's too long.
No,
so how about this? They wanted a great adventure. What they got was Mad Max Grabelski.
Yeah, it's better than the first one.
Yeah.
Meh.
And financials, right? So budget. Completely unknown to the internet, and I don't have Box Office Mojo or IMDb Pro, so I'm not going to be paying for that. Sorry, listeners. We don't know what the budget for this movie was, but I can tell you that it was a flop, and it earned a cumulative worldwide gross, an estimated of $7.9 million.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I would guess that it cost over $20 million to make.
Probably because, they had a helicopter, they had the mountain climbing, there's a bunch of stuff. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it wasn't that much.
I feel like this movie lost at least $10 million.
It probably
did. If not more.
And to that point, Daniel Stern apparently had a setup with something, I forgot the studio for this, I think it was, I don't even remember, but they had a studio deal where he was going to do a bunch of movies. I guess this did poorly, so they canceled the rest of the deal, and I actually feel kind of bad for him. Yeah,
this poor guy, he's not a movie runner. He's a side character guy.
But
that's who he is.
Do you know how committed this guy was to the role? Do you know how committed?
Just because you try hard doesn't mean you're good.
No, well, listen to this. So while the film's cast had to go undergo training sessions, so they put the people through swimming classes, rock climbing sequences. Daniel Stern was so committed to this role Like, he was so into the method acting of it that he deliberately avoided any exercise as he felt that it would better enhance just how out of element his character was. So he was so committed that he did nothing.
I like that, but another part of me thinks that that's just regular Daniel Stern.
Yeah. He's like, whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, well, it's a good excuse. It's like the Daniel Day-Lewis of comedic acting here.
Yeah. I feel like that's his everyday life, is just not exercising and all that stuff. So
the other thing I found interesting about this, another fun fact about the movie, was apparently they were originally considering this to be a spinoff of the 1990 Home Alone, with Daniel Stern reprising the role of Marv, and it changed throughout the process. Would you have liked that better?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, kind of. Like, I kind of feel like he probably took some Marv into the role a little bit, right? Did you see any of that?
He had the comedic elements. Yeah, the way that he carried himself, the craziness of him, sort of the sleazeballness of it, for lack of a better term, not the scumbaginess of it. Maybe you could call Harry the scumbag and Marv is more the sleazeball. Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
And then the other fact before we jump into this is that did you notice they called them Ranger Scouts or something?
Yeah.
So the Boy Scouts of America obviously wouldn't let them use the name for the film. Would you? I probably wouldn't.
I didn't know. I thought Ranger Scouts was a thing, and that
no. Well, maybe it is, but
I thought that maybe it was just I didn't think that they were forbidden from using Boy Scouts. I thought Ranger Scouts was just like another level of Boy Scouts.
They weren't allowed to use it for the movie, and I mean, rightfully so, right? They're not going to let them use this in it. It's probably like makes the name bad or something like that.
Yeah, it makes the name bad to think that you can call up to have a scout lead your crew, and then it turns out to be some sleazeball, right?
Yeah. And this one won award that I want to call out. It has the first place award for one of my favorite Daniel Stern movies. I'm just kidding. There's no award at all. There's nothing. It's got nothing.
I was sitting on the edge of my seat going, what award did this win? I'm interested.
I didn't put it in the notes here. It's won nothing and it's nominated for nothing that I'm aware of. So maybe it had a Razzie or something, but there wasn't anything. But
yeah, I was thinking Razzie or bust.
So let's jump into this, and the first topic that I want to ask you is, how do you remember this as a kid? Did you watch this in the 90s? And if you did it feel the same to you? Because there's a very specific thing that I want to ask you. Mm-hmm. But how do you remember this compared to watching it now?
It didn't feel the same to me. I did watch it as a kid, and I don't know. I expected it to be more, I don't know. It's hard to describe, like kid-centric.
Like a kids-friendly movie?
Yeah.
My whole thing as I was watching this, and I couldn't get it out of my head, was like, is this movie PG-13 or PG? And I saw that it was PG-13, and when I fired it up, it blew my mind that it was PG-13. I feel like this movie hugs this weird line of, it wants to be a PG movie, but it's rated as a PG-13 movie, and it doesn't know which way it wants to go. And back in, 95, I guess this was, I don't know, PG-13 was like, they didn't use like the amount of profanity that I think they could have used for PG-13, but they used enough of these weird innuendos, like when he was having the dolls, like explaining the quote birds and the bees to the kids. There's these like awkward moments, and apparently when they re-released this thing out on VHS, it was released as PG-13 and it was unedited, but later, as the years went on, they recut this thing under a family feature, and they made a PG version of it, and they dubbed out the profanity. I assume they cut out some other things too.
So
it's just weird to me. It felt like this weird straddling the fence movie.
So like, there's a lot of reference to child murder in this movie.
Yes.
So I think that factors into the PG-13 as well, where it's
like
not
Carol.
overt. Yeah, it's not overtly violent, but there are verbal confirmations that these villains want to kill the kids.
I mean, there was a quote, let's kill the kids.
It's said multiple times, let's kill the kids. Where are the kids? Are the kids dead yet? Like that whole thing. Look, the river killed the kids. Like, it's too much. It's too much kid killing, all right?
You can't kill any kids in a PG movie.
But as far as like that line straddling thing, take that away, right? I was thinking while watching this movie, like imagine if this movie was made in like the 2000s or like the late 2000s or like the 2010s. Like imagine Like, imagine the movie Role Models with Paul Rudd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine Paul Rudd being this character and doing that I don't give a shit attitude and, like, even, like, swearing at the kids.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Like, I feel like that would have made for a more interesting movie. Where, like, you didn't have to drop F-bombs like Role Model, but you could have, like, called the kids little shits or used a couple shit bombs in there a little bit. Like, have the guy be a little bit more vulgar and a little less kid-friendly.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they could have made it rated R then. Yeah.
No, but it didn't even have to be rated R, but, like, Daniel Stern, for as, like, sleazy as his character was, he kind of still was kid-friendly. Like, he got to kid-friendly pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly, from his first encounter with the kids, you know what I mean?
Well, there was, like, slapstick comedy about it, too. It wasn't like, raunchy, but I think you're right. Like, and you nailed it with, like, a Paul Rudd movie, you use Role Models. Like, if this was, like, a Judd Apatow film or something, Apatow, whatever you say.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, because I think if this was made more recently, I could see this more of, like, a rated R type or like, pushing the PG-13 to R boundaries with that.
Yeah.
It's... especially with the way that they went down against the bad guys that were trying to kill these kids, all this stuff. Like, at the time when it was made in the 90s, I guess they didn't really do that.
Yeah,
there wasn't really movies like that
because this wasn't like a nonsensical, goofy for the kids movie,
right?
Like, it wasn't like, I'm trying to think of a better
like
example.
Who goes to this movie though? Because that's the thing. Like in '95, like does a PG? Because you're like, I saw this on tape. I'm pretty sure VHS. I didn't see this in the theater. Like when you go, who's going to go and watch this? Is your parent bringing you to this? It's like, then it's that weird line straddling of who is this for? I don't understand.
Right.
Like I like the movie and I liked it at the time. I still like it, but it's not to go too much into this, but it just felt very different watching it this time. I probably haven't seen this in 20 years.
Yeah. But like, since a kid isn't a main character, and the kids themselves aren't main characters, it's all about Daniel Stern. That's why, like, it should have been pushed more to a PG-13. Whereas, like, if the kids were the focus of the movie, then maybe they could have gone more PG. But they were kind of caught in the middle.
Well, I was going to ask you about this, too. How do you compare it? So there's another movie that we did on the show, like, a long time ago. I Like You, Cindy. So how do you look at this versus, like, a Kindergarten Cop? Because I think Kindergarten Cop does what you're talking about, where it was probably more for the adults. Yeah, there was kids in it, but it was more for the adults.
It's definitely for adults, yeah.
It's sort of like the opposite of this movie, but it's in the same, like, I guess, audience. Because isn't that PG-13? I'm pretty sure it's PG-13, right?
I'm pretty sure it's R.
Or is it R? I don't remember.
It's R, yeah.
Okay,
There's
it's definitely for adults.
There's a lot of murder in that movie, Drew.
There is a lot of murder. Isn't Cindy's murdered, like, brutally?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like 4 murders in the first 15 minutes.
I remember we talked about this a long time ago. I'll put the episode in the show notes, but I want to see the movie of John Kimball as a cop. That's the movie I want to see.
And there's a school shooting at the end of the movie.
Well, that's true, actually. Yeah.
I mean, jeez.
And kidnapping. That's like hard kidnapping.
Yeah, R it up.
So is this the anti-kindergarten cop? Let's get into the movie. Let's talk about Daniel Stern, right? So we talked a little bit about him. Mad Max Grabelski. Is that how you say it? Grabelski?
Grabelski, Drew.
Self-admitted, well, maybe not self-admitted, appointed sleazeball. What is this guy's deal? Who is he? Tell me about this guy.
I don't know. He is what he is. He is a sleazeball. And before we get into his character, Drew, I couldn't help but feeling that why isn't Jim Carrey in this movie?
He probably should have been.
Why couldn't this character have been Jim Carrey? Because it might have been a classic. It might have been a classic. This was like directly after Ace Ventura, but I think before The Mask.
That's a good point.
I don't know. Maybe he signed on to The Mask, but like I wonder if they even asked him or if they were all in on Daniel Stern.
But maybe he didn't want to act with kids at that point in his career. Like he wasn't ready for the kids movie, you know?
What if he hates kids?
He might hate kids.
Jim Carrey hates kids. You heard it here, folks.
You heard it here.
Breaking news on the Last Row podcast. Jim Carrey hates kids. No, but like this movie seems like it would have been perfect. Like he could have stolen the show. He could have done all his goofy Ace Ventura shit, like and directly like attributed it to a fake Scoutmaster. Dude. The movie would have been great.
Greg Beeman is not sanctioning his buffoonery. Okay, he is not going to sanction that buffoonery. No, you actually bring up a really good point. I would have never thought about Jim Carrey for this role. But it's actually kind of interesting. What if he was in this movie? Would it have been better? Would it have been darker?
Like, you talk about Daniel Stern's physical comedy, which was great, by the way. He did a good job. Like, just imagine Jim just flailing around the screen out in the wilderness.
But the thing is, like, Daniel Stern didn't steal the show, and I feel like Jim Carrey at that time was like, he was too popular. Like, I don't know.
This movie was begging.
The radar.
This movie was begging to have the show stolen, Drew. There was no one to steal the show.
Daniel Stern was great. What are you talking about, man?
Daniel Stern he's the side guy, and I applaud him for stepping out, and and the company taking a chance on him to be the leading man. But clearly, $7 million, Drew. I mean, when he talks.
I liked him, man. He was great.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. He was good. He was good in this movie, and I liked him. But can we get somebody a little bit better?
Come on.
To lead our movie?
I like Daniel Stern. I thought he was good in this.
He was good. I don't want him replaced. I mean, it's it was whatever. 15 years ago, it was fine. 25 years ago, geez, we're old.
What are his sleazeball crimes? Like, what makes him a sleazeball in this? Why would you categorize him as a sleazeball?
So yeah, like I said earlier, like a sleazeball is typically a litter bug. He's kind of a dirty looking guy. Doesn't eat typical meals. He's stuffing candy down his face at 8 a.m. in the morning on his way to work, smoking his Marlboros while he's eating snacks. Like, can you imagine? Like, you're a smoker, right? Neither of us are smokers, but like, I don't know how this works. Where you eat a piece of candy and then, like, before it's down your throat, you have a cigarette lit up.
You're taking the drag.
You're taking a drag of the cigarette, like you're eating while you're smoking.
Yeah,
like,
but
that's a sleazeball move.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't even candy. It was a pastry. It was a snowball.
It was a snowball. Yeah. Or like you're drinking a Coke. He's got the jumbo Coke, and he's like smoking while he's drinking a Coke. Like, does that wash together?
Again, I'm not a smoker, but I've heard coffee and cigarettes is a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe coffee or alcohol and cigarettes. That's
Coke? Different. A Coke, though, it's sweet. It's a sweet beverage.
It's like smoked Coke, Yeah.
It's like why would you sully your Coke? I don't know why you would do that.
The other scumbag, the scumbag move, not even a sleazebag move. This was a scumbag move. He took the wrapper and he shoved it in a kid's backpack as he was walking.
See, that's a sleazeball. That's a total sleazeball.
I thought that was a scumbag.
I
move.
wouldn't call him a scumbag for that. A scumbag would have been to throw it in the kid's face. He was deceptive about it, Like a sleazeball would like pick his nose and like stick the booger under the table. Like, that's something this guy would do.
So is a sleazeball worse than a slime ball? Or is a slime ball in between scumbag?
I think
and
a slime ball is also a criminal. The sleazeball is not necessarily a criminal. Like this guy, he's not a criminal.
He had the perfect sleazeball outfit too. His fashion, he had like the leisure suit. It was like a leisure suit shirt with a big pop or the collar out of the leather jacket, but it wasn't like a biker leather jacket. It was like it was like a vinyl jacket, Drew. It was barely a leather jacket. It was like
faux leather. Yeah, it was like a vinyl jacket.
But the best part about that, and then he had loafers on, but he had like the kind of loafers that you have when you're like a 45-year-old dad. Like you have to have, it's like part of the dad uniform, right? And when I turn 45, I'm going to have to buy these shoes. It's like part of you just have to. Yeah. But they're like the loafers that you see at Macy's or like JCPenney, where they have like that weird mustache looking thing that looks like a comb.
It's like a bolo tie or something.
Yeah. And it has the tassels.
Yeah.
Like if you had those, and like, the funniest part of the whole movie to me isn't even the physical comedy. It's just the way that he's dressed while he's camping.
It's great wardrobe work. Yeah.
He's just the perfect outfit. Yeah. And he's completely unprepared for whatever he needs to do. But I thought he was great in this. I thought that he had a great physical performance. But so his job, right? He's a delivery man or a courier? Like, what's the difference between a courier and a delivery man? Like, it wasn't UPS, but it was sort of like a faux UPS.
Is a courier like specifically scheduled for specific deliveries?
Like you get a telegram?
Yeah, whereas UPS or FedEx is like, oh, we got an order in from this place to that place, the other place. I don't know. I feel like is a courier more specialized?
That's true.
Like you're hiring this place to deliver your package versus
you're gonna hire this guy.
Oh, I'm gonna go down and drop it off. Or whatever.
How long has he been doing this job? Like, how did he get this job? Like, do you have any perspective on that? Because I couldn't tell.
I don't know. It seems like the type of guy that would be hired and fired from a lot of places, right?
In like the same day.
Because again, another characteristic of a sleazeball is that he's lazy. He's probably not very motivated, and he's probably late all the time, and he's getting yelled for. He's on his last strike, that kind of thing.
His boss was riding his ass about it.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
It
Yeah.
seemed like he was in trouble.
Absolutely. All right, but enough about where he works and all that. I just have one question for you, Drew. Like, as we get into this movie, what the hell's going on here? Like, what's going on with the plot? Because like, I understand movies pretty well, and like, I can manipulate my way around a complicated movie. I can understand Inception. I know what's going on in Inception. I know what's going on, in all these crazy movies. I could not for the life of me figure out the plot of this movie. Like, besides, he's on the run from the cops and he impersonates himself as a ranger scout with 6 kids. But like, I don't understand why he's running and what crime was actually committed at that house.
I'm going to tell you something. I think Christopher Nolan did a better job of explaining Tenet than this movie explains.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It really. I actually had to look this up after because the movie does not explain it at all.
No, and these types of movies, they're supposed to have simple conflicts, but like, I can't understand what happened here at that house with the burning house.
I had to look it up, and I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then we can talk more about some of the other stuff. And I know we try not to hit plot every time, but this one's somewhat important.
I need you to hit it for me because I don't know. Like,
so.
Like, is he like, were they trying to set him up, or was he wrong place, wrong time? Like, I don't even understand.
At first, and in my notes, and if you look at my notes, I put something. Oh, it looks like wrong place, wrong time. But as the movie unfolds, you find out more. So I'll try to summarize this in the best way that I can without making it too confusing. So he's an idiot, right? He's a sleazeball, and he's this courier, and apparently Reinhard Bragdon, which is also a very fancy rich guy's name. We'll talk more about him when we get
pretty good name.
It sounds like a kind of guy that will wear a turtleneck and have a villa at the top of a mountain, right? Like,
yes.
Reinhard Bragdon.
Yes.
But I had to look this up, and for the most part, it's not very easy to decipher from the movie. So Mad Max Grabelski is a fall guy. That's what he is. And you watch this movie, and essentially he's this courier delivering packages to this guy's house. And the guy offers him $50 in tips, which isn't that much. I have some thoughts on that I'll ask you in a second.
Sure.
But there was like a total of like 6 packages that were going to be delivered. And he got approached, and he explains this at the campfire, as you would hear. And essentially...
I got all that.
Essentially, he was set up. They thought that the law was onto them. The FBI guy, John Polito, Agent Palmer, and Bragdon were laundering money, and I think they were getting money from these packages. And what happened was they staged this fire, and they staged Bragdon's death so that they could pin it on Grabelski, Daniel Stern's character, and basically get away with this thing scot-free. So they were stealing laundered money from the authorities, and the guy faked his death so that he could frame it on Daniel Stern's character.
Two questions. One, did you figure that out, or did you have to look that up?
I had to look it up.
Because that is not in the movie, all of what you just said.
Right.
I understand the teeth thing, and I understand, I could tell the FBI guy was dirty from the jump.
That guy is that guy from that thing.
Yeah.
He's just dirty.
But, at the scene where Daniel Stern was in the house with the fire, none of it said anything about that to me.
No.
Now, and secondly, was this a setup from the jump, from the first delivery?
They didn't say, and I don't know, but I would speculate that it wasn't.
Did the rich guy go, oh shit, they're on to me, I need to hire this guy, and at a certain point, he's gonna take the fall. We're gonna set this house on fire.
I think that maybe they didn't go into it intending that, but I think maybe as they went along, because
they pivoted.
And I found this on Wikipedia, so obviously it's going to be what people speculate. There wasn't any, the director, I didn't watch the director commentary or anything like that.
I don't think it went that deep. Yep.
But I think, maybe people are speculating as to what happened, and this isn't even in the script or anything, but they said that, when they were stealing money from the authorities after they were coming in under suspicion. Now, who was under suspicion? They didn't even say. And that guy, Palmer, the FBI, he had that other partner. I couldn't tell whether he was dirty or not. It wasn't explained at all.
No. That's my biggest problem with this movie is the entire premise was not explained, or it was too confusing, or maybe they cut scenes. I don't know if it was an editing thing. but it's also like, it's not like it was like this a reveal and a secret to where like, oh, big twist, guy's alive. Like, of course the cop's dirty, and of course the rich guy's alive at the end of it. It's like there was no like if it was a mystery, then like sure, but
it comes back to what we said earlier, right? Who is this movie for? Because if it's for older people, yeah, maybe they could figure it out. But we're in our 30s and we couldn't even really figure it out as we were watching it.
Yeah.
And if you're a kid, maybe you don't care, and you're just
Probably
like,
don't
whatever.
care.
You just want to laugh at Daniel Stern, like you know, chugging, you know, Cutter bug spray and stuff like that, and that's it. But you're right; they didn't try to explain it. They didn't really care. It's just interesting, and I don't understand like this whole thing about the final package. And we're gonna get into this when we villain scale this guy. I think he's just gonna break the scale in the negative. But I don't understand what the hell this guy's plan was, and it was just bad. It's just a really weak plan. But we'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah. But I guess it doesn't matter, but also it does matter because there's a reason why the movie made $7 million.
Yeah.
And well,
and this guy isn't directing Hollywood feature films anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, he didn't write the movie, but I mean,
fair enough. I'm pretty sure one of the Farrelly brothers did. Maybe.
Or did he?
I'm pretty sure a Farrelly wrote this. I'm pretty sure.
One of the, was it the bad Farrelly?
Maybe.
Yeah, it was Bobby. Damn Bobby.
Was it?
It was Bobby. The bad Farrelly. No, I don't know. I don't know if
it was one
Farrelly.
of them. I'm sure that I saw Farrelly brothers. Now maybe it's just a guy named Farrelly.
No, it is. It's him. It's one of them.
So,
do you think they had a falling out at the time, and then the bad one wrote this, and then then he apologized because he knew that his career would be over unless they hooked back up.
So bringing it back to Daniel Stern's character, he's on the run from this whole thing, and he falls into basically being a scout leader, and that's the whole premise of the movie.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of questions on this, and I want your opinion of this. But the mom of the kids, and there's a group of kids in the movie, was essentially this not Boy Scouts leader, the whatever they're called,
Ranger Scouts,
the Ranger Scouts leader. The main kid was getting a lot of crap from his mom, like doing cooking class and all this stuff. They're supposed to be cooking on a fire, but then they're baking cakes and doing all pastries and all this other garbage, right?
Yeah.
So they want to go on this overnight, and they want to have this big overnight stay in the woods and all this stuff. So the mom takes it upon herself to hire a scout leader. Is that a thing? Can you hire a scout leader? Like, is that possible?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, if there's a neighborhood that's lacking a program like this or a lead like this, and you have, a parent that's willing to take it up and do the best they can, but clearly she's not herself a ranger scout. So these kids, they want to get on some action,
What kind of scrutiny goes into like renting a scout leader? Because clearly, she had some contract or something.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Ranger Scout of America. I'm sure that, you call the number, you look in the yellow pages, I don't know. And you figure it out. And the guy comes down from whatever the closest, precinct or whatever, park that it may be. And the guy was legit. I mean, he had the Hummer or the Jeep or whatever, and he had like Ranger on and everything. And Daniel Stern stole it, and one thing led to another. And bada boom, bada bing. You got Daniel Stern. He's also Daniel Stern's a spider,
I mean, so I got a lot of questions about that too. Like, what do you think of the nickname Spider?
Sounds like a villain's name.
It sounds like a prison, like a prison boss, or something,
Or
Spider.
or it sounds like you ever see the movie 8 mm?
Yes.
With Nick Cage. That's like I feel like the snuff film director, like his nickname was the Spider or something like that.
And that's a scumbag.
Yeah. That sounds like what a spider is.
Yeah. I wonder why they call him Spider. If he's like because he climbs or something, or I don't even know why they call this guy Spider. I want to know.
He climbs like he has 8 legs, Drew.
So what do you think about Daniel Stern in this? So how would you do if you fell into the situation? Could you succeed as a fake scout leader?
Those kids would be dead in an instant, Drew. They'd be dead in an instant. It'd be over for them.
Would you succeed? Could you? How long?
No.
How long would you make before they figured you out?
Those kids would die first, and I'd be right behind them. I'd be dead soon thereafter. Tell you what.
Like how long could you make it? How long do you think you could fake this? Like for real?
Oh yeah, no. The kids would sniff me out in no time flat. I know nothing about the outdoors. I hate the outdoors. I can't stand being outside. I hate fresh air. Hate it all.
Would you try? Could you try?
If my life depended on it, sure, I'd try, but like I would be so transparently not up for the job.
So you weren't in the Boy Scouts?
No, I wasn't in the Boy Scouts. I hate the outdoors and I hate children. Like really. I mean, I like the children in my life. I don't like other people's
there you go.
I don't like strangers' children.
There it is.
Put it that way.
Hey, I have children and I have a child and I feel the same as you.
You have a children.
I have a children.
No, yeah, I don't like strangers' children.
I can understand that. So you're not a camping guy? You don't go camping?
No, not at all.
Have you ever been camping in your life?
No, can't say I've spent more than 8 hours outside. At
so
one
you've
time.
Never slept outdoors in your life?
Never
Not
slept
once.
outdoors. I never, I went bootleg hiking every once in a while. But I wouldn't even call it hiking. I just call it a walk, really. I've been on walks.
So you said you would die. How would you have died if you were Daniel Stern in this? Would you have died from starvation? What would you have died from?
I mean, I'd probably, an animal would get me, or I'd accidentally fall off a cliff or something, or I'd break my leg and bleed out and nobody would be there to help me because the kids can't. What are they going to do? The kids don't know any better.
So you would have gone down with the bear, right? The bear cub?
Yeah, that would have been it, right? I don't know if I have the balls to play dead to a bear.
What about playing with the cub as if it was a dog?
I wouldn't have done that. I would have been scared of the cub.
But did he do it because he thought it was a dog, or did he do it because he was
No, it was probably the funniest scene of the movie. No, I think he was just trying to be tough and say, "Oh, what, this is a little tiny bear?" Yeah, the tiny bear's not going to hurt you, but obviously the mother's around somewhere, right?
There's the scene of him basically play fist fighting with a bear cub is it's one of the funniest things in the whole movie, and I was belly laughing.
Yeah, unless I compare it to again, think of Ace Ventura when nature calls, when he's fighting the alligator, and I imagine what Jim Carrey would do in the same scene. Daniel Stern did it good, but could have been a lot better. But let's get off that. I'm sorry. What about you? Were you in Boy Scouts? I honestly, if you were, I'm a bad friend because I would have forgot because you would have told me.
No. I wasn't. My brother did it for a little bit, but I wasn't. I mean, I like going outdoors. I like camping. I like hiking. I like all that stuff. But I'm not, I'm not an avid outdoorsman, but I like it.
Do you know how to tie knots and stuff and all that good stuff? Or?
No, I can tie one knot. It's whatever the shoelace knot is. That's about my knot.
Do you know what to eat outside and what's poison and what's not?
No.
Do you know that?
No, I know because there's an app on my phone that tells me, but that's about it.
You'd be worried about what berry to eat.
I'd probably die immediately too. Yeah. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd be surviving. We have friends that were in Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts and all that other stuff. I'd need them to survive. I need the life straw. We're talking about the life straw.
Yeah, sure.
Put me on Naked and Afraid. I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die right away. I'm naked and I'm afraid I'm dead.
And the fact that you'd be able to pee anywhere you want them, you would love it. You don't even need the piss pipe. You just
I like
pee wherever
that.
you want. Yeah.
I like that. You don't need to hide it with the tube going down your leg.
Your wife is an outdoorsman.
She is.
And how do you say that quickly?
Outdoorsman.
Outdoorsman.
She is.
It's easy to say outdoorsman, but outdoorswoman.
She's probably the reason why I am more than I was. She would
survive. She
knows a hell of a lot more about that stuff than I do. And for me, I'm not.
So if she's with you, then you're good.
Yeah, I need her to survive. But I like being outdoors and I like that stuff.
But if you were stuck out there without anybody, okay.
Like I said, naked, afraid, and dead.
Yeah. If it was me and you together, stuck outside, we're both dead.
We'd be dead. Yeah. Dead in an instant.
Dead in an instant.
So how do you rate Daniel Stern as a scout leader then? Do you if you compare him to actual Spider, he sort of lucked into things.
Not so bad. I mean, really, he did okay, right? You had to warm up to it. You had to warm up to it a little bit.
He figured it out.
He saved some lives, didn't he?
He certainly figured it out.
Yeah. A little rough start. It's a rough start.
I mean, he climbed the mountain. He
rappelled mountains. He
did a whole bunch.
Saved a kid from a tree branch. He got the kids across the bridge.
Yeah, oh my god. That's got to be the cover. That's got to be the cover photo of this episode. The sheer strength that you would need to take, and we need to put this picture out there of the guy is. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to I'm gonna put the picture online so you can see it. It'll probably be the cover of this episode. But he's acting as a human bridge across a gigantic cliff, it's like a I don't even know how to describe it. It's a giant gap between two rocks.
Yeah, it's a gap. It's a 6-foot gap they need to get from one place to the other. Really, I feel like I don't know. Maybe a kid can't jump 6 feet, but I could.
Could you jump that?
I think I could jump 6 feet across. Yeah, absolutely.
Either way, they didn't even try.
Am I dumb? Can I jump 6 feet? I'm trying to think.
You need to get up right now and try to jump 6 feet.
Yeah, I feel like I can jump my own body height. Like I'm almost 6 feet. Like, well, not really. But
here's what
kinda.
you need to set up your couch and then put your table 6 feet apart and then just jump and I'll watch you.
All right, I'm gonna put my headphones and do it real quick. Ready? Here we go. Make sure the audience is still entertained.
Right. I'll cut the gap in between here and I'm gonna come back as soon as he's done. I need to put the video of you jumping online so people can see that.
Drew, listeners, I didn't make it. I didn't make it. Not even close.
I need the video. I need the video of you doing this. It was just a blur. Like you went a blur past the screen. I'm absolutely going to try to put that on Instagram.
A, I didn't make it, and B, now my neighbors are awake.
That was awesome. Oh man, poor neighbors. But yeah, so you'd have to stretch your body across this gap. But the thing is, he must have had metal rods or something. His arms. Like, just imagine put two chairs apart, right? Put your legs on one side and put your hands all the way outstretched, and put your hands on the side of there, and then have people walk across you. I couldn't stretch that way with nobody on my back.
The core strength. I don't think Van Damme would be able to do this. Imagine if Van Damme split across the gap and the kids walked like over his head. You know, he could do that.
He might tear his groin doing that.
Well, you know, like it dips down, like the groin dips, but like he could hold it. I feel.
Could you imagine? Look, we did the split on this show. Yeah. We did it for the 50th iTunes review or Apple Podcast review. We did it. We'll put the picture out again. But I don't think I could even do that. No way. Yeah. Hell no. Yeah. No. I don't know how to get this back on track, by the way. So sorry, listeners. But Daniel Stern. So anyway, we're saying about him as a scout leader. He did pretty good for the situation, right? All things considered. Yeah. But the parents are pissed about the situation, obviously, right? So they're blaming the mom for this whole thing. And the one dad who is, what is his name? Alan from Entourage, the studio head that has a heart attack on the golf course. Big Entourage fans here. But this guy's blaming the mom, and he's saying it's your fault. This kid forged the permission slip because he wasn't allowed to go. Now, is that her job to check? Well, like, look, she could have looked at it, but she's not like a forensic analyst.
Yeah, this is the 90s. We don't have the internet like
it's a piece of paper
at our fingertips. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, I would have liked some identification.
Fair enough.
Before I handed the kids off
to some strange guy. To do anything.
Yeah, to some strange guy, I would have liked to have seen some identification, especially when the guy rolls up in a leather jacket and not in like actual camping with no camping gear. The guy looks suspicious as all hell.
Or are you like, that's how confident this guy is in his abilities?
You have that too. Man, this guy must be good. This guy must be good.
He's going to go hiking in like loafers with tassels.
This thing is no big deal to this guy. Yeah.
They're going to Devil's Peak. This guy's in dress shoes.
No sweat at all. This guy climbed Everest.
In a leather jacket.
Yeah.
That's how good he is. I mean, come on. Like the whole thing with the police in this movie, it's like obviously a comedy, but the whole thing when the parents are clearly worried, they're clearly upset, and the police are just like, they finally find out who he is, and they're like, oh my god, it's Mad Max Krabelski or whatever, and like they're not supposed to freak out in front of the parents, right? If you're the police, you're supposed to be like, oh no, we got it under control, and then they talk about that on the side, not in the middle of everybody. No, like what the hell's that?
It's just bad police work. That's just bad police work, Drew.
What about the kids in this movie? Did any of them stand out to you at all?
No, and I feel like that was part of the reason why the movie, like, I don't know, I enjoyed the movie. Like, I wasn't bored by it watching it back now, but like, I didn't think any of the kids stood out. Like, I didn't care more about one kid over the other. They're all kind of like similar personalities.
They're very
right?
generic. They even looked
Like,
all the same to me.
There was a weak one, there was a scared one, there was a brave one, there was, the girl. But like they tried to have tropes, but I feel like in the end they all kind of mushed together, right?
Yeah, I mean there was like the sort of the pseudo leader kid, like you said. They had the tropes, and the one kid was like the geeky kid, the overconfident kid. But I don't think any of them stood out. I mean, they didn't really. I don't know. They didn't have anybody, but they weren't the focus of the movie, I guess, and they didn't detract from Daniel Stern. Like Daniel Stern was really, they made this movie and they were like, Daniel Stern, just go be funny. That's kind of what they did. And I get your point about Jim Carrey, because that he would have carried it, but he would have buried these kids because they couldn't hold a candle to him. And I feel like, it was weird. Like but I like the chemistry between Daniel Stern and the kids. Like I thought they had good chemistry.
Yeah, they did. Daniel Stern seems like a guy that is really good with kids.
Especially if you're a kid actor on this movie, you probably had fun filming it, because I bet he was hilarious.
Yeah, he probably is good with kids, and that's why it shows so easy in the movie.
Do you know how old do you think these kids were in this movie?
12.
And if they're
12-ish?
12, how do you rate their ability to find a criminal? Because they're pretty dumb, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it takes them too long to figure out that this guy isn't who he said he was.
Is it because they are not really as good of scouts as they are because their mom has had them sheltered?
Yeah, because they haven't had great teachings, right? Yeah, so you're right. So maybe they are a little naive in this scenario as well.
And the kid's going from the book.
Yeah, what is a good ranger? Because their mom was not a good ranger leader because she's really just teaching them like home ec stuff, right?
Yeah, she was doing the best she could, but she wasn't equipped.
So they're out there. This guy, clearly doesn't know what's going on, but to them, like, this guy's leading us to an adventure. We should probably listen to everything he says. Maybe what he's doing is right.
I mean, it took them to hear the radio before they figured it out. And then when they did, they tried to kill him.
So, I don't know. I take myself, maybe your childhood's different. I'm sure it was in certain scenarios. I remember back when I was a kid, I mean, I was pretty naive. I would believe anything anybody said. So, I wasn't one to like fight back against authority, especially in my preteen years. So, like, if I was in the presence of an adult who was in charge of me, I would probably believe everything that person said.
He was an authority, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy says he's a Ranger Scout. Yeah, he's a Ranger Scout. He's my guardian at this point.
What did you think about the way that they turned on him? They tried to kill him, but then they realized that he was being set up somehow, right? I don't know why they believed him, but they did because they saw the FBI guy clearly lied to them.
Yeah.
And then they were going to go and climb this peak to intercept the last package. Would you have supported him if you were one of those kids?
Well, if he should have told them to stay back at that point, right?
Yes. He took them with him.
He should not have brought them along to confront these criminals, right?
Yes. And to that point, I want to ask you, like, what kind of crimes, forget whatever happens here, right? Like, he gets away with it. Again, the plot doesn't matter. They win the day, right? They get the bad guy, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about him in a second. Yeah. But he's got to be guilty of something, right? Like, what are his crimes?
Well, I do have my law degree, last row university.
Got to bust out the lawyer group.
I did some research, some quick research. And this was a tough one. It was hard to define. And there, if anyone who's listening disagrees with my assessments, I'd be happy to learn what exactly crimes that Daniel Stern did commit. We know he didn't commit money laundering, and we know he didn't commit murder. Those are false accusations. But I believe he is guilty of negligent misrepresentation, Drew.
What is that? What does that mean?
It's basically either saying something that you're not, or leading someone to believe you're something that you're not without actually
being
saying
the scout leader, like the scout leader impersonation.
Yeah, that kind of thing. There's also civil fraud, which is a lesser form of negligent misrepresentation. And there's also criminal impersonation, which obviously is, being somebody that you're not.
Right.
So, I mean, negligent misrepresentation could be a Class C felony, Drew. Up to,
Well, what does that mean for him? Does it take somebody to press the charges? Like, if the parents were like, no, we like this guy, like, could they not press the charges?
I feel like you got to charge him anyway because he endangered those kids. It's a 6 to 18 month sentence. So
Not so bad.
yeah, civil fraud is misdemeanor. Criminal impersonation, that could be pled down to a misdemeanor as well. But negligent misrepresentation, that's gonna get you minimum 6 months.
And is
right?
it multiple counts because of the amount of kids, or is
It
that
could be. I think it could be
because he did it for what, 6 kids and the
for
parents?
6 kids. For 6 kids, yeah. So yeah, I mean, well, really, is that a minimum 36 months then?
Yeah, maybe.
I guess.
I mean, I'm not a judge, but
you know, maybe the judge can go easy on him because he did end up saving the kids, and then maybe the kids vouch for him. You know, you're in the courtroom and the kids vouch, and the parents, they vouch and say, you know what, we messed up too. Guy's not such a bad guy after all. Look, he actually saved people and solved a crime. It could be pled down to a lesser sentence.
he was pointing a gun in people's faces, wasn't he? It was
He
a
was.
real gun.
Isn't that public
Brandishing-
endangerment?
Yeah, brandishing a firearm.
Brandishing a
You said that on one of the other episodes, right? Like,
Yeah.
wasn't there a thing like flashing a gun? But if it wasn't loaded or you weren't going to shoot somebody, or it was a fake gun.
Intent doesn't matter. I feel
Yeah.
that was during the Airheads episode. Intent doesn't matter. But I mean, there's a lot of cases where you don't think something's loaded and it actually is.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair
You
point.
know,
Fair
right.
point.
Yeah.
But what about the kids though? Does he have any crimes? Like, because he technically took the kids, right? I mean, he took them.
But is it kidnapping?
I guess it is.
He's not really holding them again. Like if one of the kids just said, "You're stupid. I'm going back." He probably wasn't going to stop them.
No, I don't
Right?
think he was. I think he was.
I don't
just-
think he held the kids anywhere.
he didn't care. But maybe if you had a
But-
good prosecutor, maybe
Yeah.
they could argue.
You could, I guess, make the argument that he kidnapped them through negligent misrepresentation. Right?
I mean, they chose to go with him for that last package, which made
Yeah.
zero sense. So that was of their own free will, but
Mm-hmm.
they're minors and he's their adult guardian in that situation. So maybe he did kidnap them.
Yeah, that's child endangerment, I guess, or that
6
kind of
counts.
thing. Yeah, 6 counts for sure. I mean, if the mom wanted to sue because the kid was hanging off of a branch there,
You know, Dana's dad was suing 100%.
Dana's dad was definitely suing.
He was definitely suing. He was definitely
I
suing.
mean, he's suing the mom because that kid
Yeah.
didn't. I mean, his kid forged the permission slip. The mom should have seen right through it, as he says.
He should sue his kid for
He's probably gonna. Yeah,
He's gonna sue the kid too. He's gonna disown him.
poor kid's allowance money's going right back to dad.
Let's talk about. So we talked a lot about the plot of this thing. Let's kind of wrap it up with this villain scale thing because we can quickly just take this guy to task.
Yeah, I told Drew before we recorded that wasn't even sure we should villain scale him because he's not in the movie much and he's a weak villain, but we can play along here.
This guy is so weak. So if you're new to the show, we have what we call the villain scale. We take all the bad guys of the movies and we put these through this. There's 4 categories. There's look, style, hideout and lair, plan, and henchman, a 1 to 5 scale for each of them. Let's put this guy through. We even talk about potentially bonus points for ruthlessness. This guy, maybe he wanted to kill a kid, so maybe that gives him some points, but I think he probably loses a bunch. But
Yep.
Reinhard Bragdon, so
Great.
his look and his style, I'm going to lump his name into look and style, and I think that's a very solid name of a rich guy.
If you're trying to boost his stats, then go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he's got a sweet turtleneck, and he wears a sweater and a blazer. He pulled his own teeth, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is that look and style, or is that part of your plan?
I mean, that's part of the plan.
Yeah, dentures, I guess, is his look
I
and
mean,
style.
the teeth were like, he's a millionaire, so it's like indistinguishable. But
But it made so I don't even know where this goes, but he talked about he pulled each tooth and it was worth it. It was $1 million per tooth to pull it or to reproduce them. I don't know. But he was laundering $10 million. How many teeth do you have? So just one of those packages negated whatever the hell he did with his teeth.
Yeah, I mean, he's bad. Again, we'll get it with plan, but like,
So
I don't know.
What's his look and style if you give this guy?
he's got crappy blonde hair. It's just like he looks like a computer salesman. Really, I mean, he's
Zach Morris's dad.
I don't make fun of people with glasses. I have glasses myself, but he's got geek glasses for that year. For that,
Did he have glasses? I don't even remember that.
He did. I think he did. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. In my mind, he has glasses. I don't know.
I don't think he did.
What do you want from me? It's like 4 in the morning. What do you want from me?
Whatever. And either way, the guy looked like a dweeb.
You look like a dweeb.
Can we bust out dweeb? That's a 1995 word. I'm giving this guy a 1.
He's getting a 1.
Gets a 1.
I don't know what the conversation is. He's getting a 1. He doesn't look like a criminal. He looks like a computer salesman. He's like the freaking guy from Under Siege 2.
He does. He looks like that guy.
Yeah.
He looks like a rich guy. Is what he looks.
Yeah, he looks like a rich guy. Yeah,
it's like the president of a country club.
Yeah, it's like if Zach Morris grew up to be a criminal, which he probably did. This is Zach Morris. You know,
I haven't watched the reboot, so I don't know, or the continuation.
He looks like 40-year-old Zach Morris.
What about his hideout and his lair? So he's got this sweet mountain house.
That's the only thing he gets points for, in my opinion, is the hideout lair, because he has a great mansion, an estate. He's got a great mountain top of Dante's Peak, Devil's Peak.
Devil's Peak.
I mean, not Dante's Peak. That would be a volcano. He's got a great cabin on top of Devil's Peak that has a helipad, Drew.
Yeah, that helipad
with a helicopter, and he knows how to fly the helicopter.
It's pretty sweet.
He's gonna get a 4.
You giving him a 4 for the hideout layer?
He has 2 layers and a helicopter.
All right. Let's see what happens.
And the one layer is on top of Devil's Peak.
Yeah,
that's a 4,
you gotta
right?
Climb there. Is it like in Commando where you can only get there by helicopter or climbing?
No, the delivery man drove right up.
I forgot.
And speaking of that, Drew.
Oh my God.
Speaking of that, if the delivery guy and the mom drove right up to the driveway, why did Daniel Stern and the kids have to climb up a mountain and risk their lives? Did they not see the route? This movie's not very good, is it?
Wasn't there a path somewhere, like just some driveway that goes all the way up? You're right.
I mean, there's a fork in the road. You make a left and a right, and like you can make the wrong decision. He must have made the wrong ass decision.
I mean, he cut the rope bridge. I get you need the rope bridge, but you're right. Yeah. Like, how did the delivery guy drive there? He didn't take a drone.
And the mom drove right up there and got herself kidnapped.
She's a real estate agent, right? So she had the listing.
Yeah.
Like, God, just plot holes galore.
Yep.
Well, anyway, we'll give this guy a 4. Are you sure it's not a 3 because you can drive there?
Yeah, it's accessible. All right, but
bump him to a 3 because it's too accessible.
A 3 because it's too accessible. Yeah.
What about his plan? Right. So he's stealing laundered money from the authorities, and he fakes his death. You got to give him some credit for faking his death after coming under suspicion of stealing. And he tries to frame Max. And
he knocks his own teeth out. Like, that's commitment to the plan.
It's commitment.
But he's using the delivery service to launder $10 million.
Why doesn't he just take the money?
It seems unnecessary.
Can you fit $10 million in that size box? Like, I get a lot of Amazon packages here, and I don't know how much $10 million takes.
The box was like, if you just Googled box, it's just a regular cube. It's like there's nothing big about the box. It doesn't. You didn't need a hand cart for it. How heavy is $10 million?
It's got to be heavy. I was trying to look this up beforehand, right?
Like these delivery men, like Stern and the delivery guy at the end, they were tossing this thing around like it was weightless.
I thought when you have that much cash, like it physically takes up a lot of space. Like I was looking this up, and I thought. I could have sworn that it was got to be bigger than that. Like if you look up a million's less than you think, but 10 million's got to be bigger than what you think.
What if if you got $1,000 bills, Drew?
Yeah, the currency from what's it called? From when they were changing the money over?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you give this guy's plan? Because it's clearly thought out, but it's also stupid. Because there's got to be an easier way.
Yeah, it's a 1 because it's does he get a 2 because like he faked his own death successfully?
And he fails, too. Some kid jumps at him, and that's it.
I'll give him a 2 because he successfully faked his death. I mean, that's good. That's good planning.
I mean, anytime you can fake your death and somehow get away with it, maybe you get the credit. Maybe you get the credit.
You get the point, but like he doesn't get any other points because the rest of the plan about the money laundering was very dumb.
If you faked your own death, right? Let me ask you this. I'm not to go down a tangent, but if you faked your own death, right? And I actually believe that you died, and I would be very heartbroken, right? I would be devastated. That's the right word to use.
Oh,
because that's how much you mean to me. Oh. But if you came back, right? And like, you faked it, but then you came back.
Yeah.
Is it a crime to fake your own death? Like,
I think it is. I think there's tax the situations, or I don't know.
But like, let's say then you file your taxes next year. You're just like, surprise, I was just kidding.
I mean, it depends. Like, is there a life insurance policy that someone gets paid out because I died? You know, it depends.
But like, let's say you gave the money back. Just the fake your own death.
You were like, just kidding.
Yeah, like you just wanted to do it as a gag.
Yeah.
Is it a crime?
I feel like it's a crime. I do feel like it's a crime. Yeah, because you're like, I don't know, you're falsifying some kind of legal documents to have someone file on your behalf your death certificate. You know what I mean? I feel like it's got to be. It's got to be.
I'm taking us down too many tangents here.
Yeah.
What about the henchman? There's one guy, right? That's would you categorize anyone else?
The FBI guy with the pencil thin mustache.
Palmer.
Yeah.
Which good mustache.
Palmer's like the obvious cop name. Every cop is named Palmer.
Palmer.
Yeah.
This guy was ineffective at best.
Yeah.
He was awful. He got caught. I mean, this guy sucks.
You know when he gave away that he wasn't an FBI agent to the movie, like we knew right away, but like when Daniel Stern was on the bridge and the kids were crossing the bridge and they finally catch up to him.
I know where you're going with this.
He tries to snipe Daniel Stern in front of all the kids. And then the scout leader, who's like with the FBI agent, who doesn't know the FBI agent is bad, goes, "Hey, you can't do that. There's kids there." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right."
Was he afraid he was going to hit the kid, or the kid would be upset when he watched Daniel Stern get his face blown off?
A and B, like, that's pretty traumatizing, you know?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absurd.
So you're going to give this guy any bonus points for ruthlessness of wanting to murder 6 kids, or are you taking points away?
By the way, the henchman's a 1, right? I don't think we scored.
Oh, yeah. Henchman
is it a 1? Okay.
It might even be a 0, but I don't think we go 0.
I don't think we give zeros, so yeah. No bonus points. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of tough talk, kid killing going on, but I didn't see any bullets get fired.
Kid killing.
If you would have at least shot at a kid and missed, that's points. But no shot, no points.
Daniel Stern gets a point for cutting the bridge while the kid's on it, like to make him run across.
So like the scene where they're in the helicopter and then they, the kids have the pretty good idea to like throw the bags in to make it seem like they're drowned.
Yeah.
So like if they did some like shots down at the water like to shoot just in case, like that's points. Shot. Yeah. Yeah, or like, maybe I'll hit him and I'll just shoot the water. Like that's ruthlessness. But they didn't do it.
That's smart too,
Yeah.
You gotta shoot the water.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah. But no shot, no points.
All right, let's recap this guy. So look and style is a 1, weak as hell.
Yeah.
Hideout and layers 3, it's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
His plan is a 2.
Lucky to get the 2.
Faked his own death. Maybe we went too high on that. And then his henchman is a 1. So what is that? 4 plus 2 is 6 plus a 7. 7 out of 20.
It's probably the lowest score in the history of the villain scale.
We gotta. I just need to. I'm too lazy. I didn't do the list. I got to do the list.
Well,
one day I will.
We'll bust out a special episode one time.
Episode 100, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, what episode is this?
This is 93. How the hell did we make it this far? How do we make it this far? It only took us like 8 years, right?
Yep, took us 8 years, and I'll tell you what, the people, they wanted it. The people want it. We're gonna give it to them.
We owe the listeners, man, for sticking with us this long. So I have a couple questions just to close this out. After the movie, Daniel Stern, right? He gets the kids get awarded a whole bunch of badges because they lived in the wilderness. One, they make him a scout leader, and I can't tell if it's a joke or not. I don't know if it's a joke or not. Would he actually be a scout leader after this? And number 2, how long before the first kid dies under his watch?
Well, I mean, there should have been some casualties in the first one. And, wouldn't this been a good movie if it was like Cliffhanger and like maybe we lost some of the kids? just like in Cliffhanger, like we lost some of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What if one kid did fall and to his death and the other, maybe a kid did get shot. I don't know. Could have made the movie more effective. Yeah, could have made the movie more effective.
If you
I
shoot
don't
the
know.
kid, it's instant rated R, right?
Yeah, it's rated R. Sure.
You can tell how late it is by the amount of giggles that I have right now.
Yeah. No, he shouldn't be a scout. He should be nowhere. He actually should probably have a restraining order against kids. He probably, what's he doing? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, is he a sex offender after teaching them about the birds and the bees with the Barbie dolls? Like that was that could put him on the map there.
It was so ridiculous. You could make the argument that he also doesn't know what sex is.
Exactly.
Based on the way he described sex to the kids. So
exactly.
Yeah. No, he shouldn't lead any kids. And I feel like go on, because I feel like the award was a ruse.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, was the scout leader messing with him? Right? Because he sends basically every kid to Yosemite with him. It's got to be a joke, right? Like it's not real.
Yeah, it could be like the scoutmaster, like just saying, "Oh yeah, you think you're a real ranger? You think you're tough because you survived this one mission? Well, there you go." That kind of thing. Yeah, I think that's a possibility for sure.
I gotta say, all said and done, I haven't seen this movie I think in 20 years. I was happy to watch it and I enjoyed it. I wasn't bored at all.
It's underrated. It is, and it could have been better in a lot of ways. But yeah, Daniel Stern, he's great at what he does, and it's probably better in a sidekick role, but I don't think this is the type of movie that should have got him kicked off of being a main man. It's kind of unfortunate, but whatever.
What's your favorite Daniel Stern role? Obviously, Home Alone is the most iconic, but
yeah,
besides that, what's your favorite? Role
it's probably Brickma, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
it's my most memorable of him. We talked about this before the episode. It blew me away that he was the narrator for Wonder Years. Like I had no idea until you told me tonight.
I'm surprised you didn't know that. I mean, idea. It's not. He doesn't do the comical voice. It's his voice, but
he plays it so straight. I never like put it together that's him.
I would agree with you. I think Brickma is my favorite of his roles. I mean, he's been in a bunch of other stuff too, but obviously, Home Alone is the most iconic and the best. But I really like Brickma. I thought he was hilarious. I'll link to the other episode that we did for Rookie of the Year. I think it was episode 40 something. But I enjoyed this movie, and I'm glad that we got a chance to watch it. We've been talking about doing this one for quite a while. Yeah. I'm just curious if anyone else likes this movie like we do. If it's the first time you're seeing it, I wonder if this thing holds up at all. It's on Cinemax right now, so if you want to watch it as of 2020, what is it, 2021? I don't even know the year anymore. If you guys enjoyed the movie, send us an email, thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of it. Tweet at us at @thelastrowpod. Leave us a comment on the Facebook page, right on the Facebook episode posting. If you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser. Thank you to everybody that's taken the time and left one for us. We'll be back in 2 weeks on Thursday, December 9th, with another episode for you. Maybe we'll go Christmas. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if you're going to fire this one up on a Thursday, it happens to be the release day, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. That's right.
But if you listen to this episode like on April 14th, 2027, then that won't mean anything to you.
Exactly.
But still,
That's how much we're giving thanks to the listeners, everyone that's stuck with us. Thank you, everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving, like Badway said, and this is our gift, and thanks to everyone that's listened and left us some love.
Oh.
We love you guys. So we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, do you light up a cigarette and then watch Leno and go to sleep?
I was more of a Letterman guy myself.
Yeah,
so I never understood the cigarette thing. But I've never smoked, so maybe it's like the best thing, for that time of the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never partaken myself.
All right, so here's what you do. Next time, with the last wife, and the mood is set, and the deed is done. Out of nowhere, you fire a cigarette up in bed and wait for the reaction.
Could you imagine if I pulled out a pack of Marlboros? It's like
she would probably kick you out of the house, not just the bed, the house.
It would be. Yeah. It wouldn't even. It would be goodbye. Get out of here.
It wouldn't be divorce, but it'd be like you gotta go for the night.
Yes. It would be get out of here.
And then you come over to my house and then. But But I'd kick you out too if you smoked my house.
Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. I feel like it's rude for me to just light it up in your house. In my home. Imagine if I did that.
Yeah, that would be the funniest thing. I would love to get a story.
I find it funny, like, I don't know, it's just